Tonight's verdict in the trial of an illegal immigrant who confessed to accidentally shooting Kate Steinle was nevertheless found not guilty of murder or manslaughter is renewing the debate over sanctuary cities and border security. Here to discuss, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com, syndicated columnist and host of The Ben Shapiro Show, and Adrienne Elrod. She was a director of strategic communications for Democrat Hillary Clinton. Good to see you both tonight.
You too, Shannon.
All right, I want to read a little bit of the reaction that we have from the ICE deputy director tonight. He says this: "It is unconscionable that politicians across this country continue to endanger the lives of Americans with sanctuary policies while ignoring the harm inflicted on their constituents. Following the conclusion of this case, ICE will work to take custody of Mr. Garcia Zarate and ultimately remove him from the country." Adrienne, he's come back 5 times. This will be number 6. How will it be any different?
Look, there's no question that in this particular case, the system at the federal, state, and local level absolutely broke down. I still can't wrap my head around this verdict. I think a lot of people, as are trying to unpack what actually happened and how the jurors came to this conclusion. But look, local law enforcement in cities that are so-called sanctuary cities will say that having an ongoing dialogue with the immigrant community in their cities is what actually makes it safer. So as a political pundit going on a television show, I'm certainly not going to question what local law enforcement think and how they want to govern their communities, but that is what they say. And you do see crimes that are lowered in sanctuary cities among the immigrant community compared to some cities where they feel that they cannot communicate with law enforcement.
All right, Ben, what do you make of that argument?
I mean, I live in Los Angeles, and I can tell you that the idea that making sure that illegal immigrants continue to be released back onto the streets rather than being given over to the feds, that is not going to lower the crime rate. The lack of trust between the immigrant community and the law enforcement community, that needs to be overcome. But that can't be overcome by simply saying that illegal immigrants should be released back into the community rather than being handed over to the feds. I mean, in this particular case, this guy was a repeat criminal many times. If you've been a citizen of the United States, here in California we have a 3 strikes law. If you're convicted 3 times in felony cases, you end up in jail for a very, very long time for life. In this particular case, this guy was convicted of a bunch of different crimes. He was deported over and over and over again. He was set free by sanctuary cities that refused to coordinate with federal law enforcement. He was out. He picked up a gun. He stole a gun, presumably, and then he shot Kate Steinle. Whether he did it, whether he meant to shoot her or whether he just meant to discharge the firearm is of no consequence. When you pick up that gun and you know that it has the possibility of firing and it fires, then this is at the very best involuntary manslaughter.
Well, but not according to this jury. They said not guilty on that count as well. Adrienne, do you get how this topic was such a good one for President Trump when he was running, why it resonated with so many people, and why just this one case alone really captured the nation's attention, that this is an issue, these sanctuary cities letting people go, being very permissive with illegal immigration. Do you understand what he tapped into there and why people were so responsive to that?
I do understand what he tapped into, but I also think it's an absolute shame that he used this case time and time again as a political football when the family of Kate has gone through so much tragedy and so much heartache, and to have this used in any sort of political way by the President of the United States during the campaign when he was running as a candidate, now as president, is a real shame. But look, this is a very complex issue, and I think what's important to understand here is that this is one incident. What we've got to do is figure out how to handle the 800,000 dreamers who are living here in the United States, allowing them to live in limbo, allowing a lot of the immigrant community to wonder what's going to happen, to fear deportation every single day.
All right, I got to bring in Ben here really quick because we're out of time. Ben, quick response from you.
The basic notion that an illegal immigrant can commit crimes in this country and then re-enter the country at will is why President Trump won, and it's why President Trump ought to push for the construction of that barrier and ought to make sure that the American people are safe from predators like this one.
We will expect to hear more from the White House on this. Ben and Adrienne, thank you both very much.
Thank you, Shannon.